you. So we had looked at the what is general introductory information of genetics, different divisions of genetics, and the applications. We had looked at it quite in detail, and also we had looked at what is hereditary and what does it mean by like begets like. Yeah. So now we are going to start with the next small topic that is known as variation in population. Though we had seen it in the earlier classes, we'll just look at with the specific aspect of genetics. So human beings, they share many characteristic or traits, and among themselves which identify the species is Homo species. Like obviously humans, they are known Homo sapiens, and they share many main characteristic, or they are also called as traits amongst themselves. And that is one of the basis statement for the variation, because they have many common characteristic. Obviously those characteristics may differ from the individual to individual. Those several races and tribes look different in several features, including, and several races refers to a Caucasian race, or the South Asian race, or what we call African race, uh, and there are like several such, right, that you know of. Like we drastically look different compared to all the other people amongst ourselves. That is what it is meaning, and it's true with the you can call this either as a race, or you can also call it as a tribe, as a whole group. And even within the same race or same tribe, the individual member of that particular population, they show differences. Obviously, like let's say again, all the Indians or South Asian population, they all look differently, and there are obvious reasons. The smallest unit of population, that is family, also shows difference. So starting from at a bigger race, the races are different. Within the races, people are different. And even the smallest unit within this population, that is a family, that also shows difference in the body feature. And that is the basis of variation in the population. These small differences among the individuals, they are called as variations. So whatever small differences in the physical characteristics or traits or appearance, you can say, among different individuals, that is what is called as variations. All the organisms, whether plants, animals, microorganisms, they produce their own kind, that is the like begets like, through reproduction. But the offsprings, they are never identical to their parents. Like identical means exactly same copies. They will have certain differences, though the exception can go to the microorganism. There are certain microorganisms which reproduced exactly same copies, but still there are quite a few which does not, especially in case of plants and animal. The offspring, they are never identical to their parents. And within those plants or animal, there are intrinsic differences as well, especially in the case of animal. So that's what is variation in population. So this is just a brief note. I hope this is not difficult to understand, and this is pretty clear. But still, if you have any question, do ask me. But in the meanwhile, I'll move forward. uh, before we actually go into the core of the genetics, we need to make ourselves aware of certain concepts. And these are highlighted on this particular slide. We know what a gene is, we have studied it, but just to define it here, it's the physical and functional unit of heredity. And genes, they are made up of DNA. We already know this part. Now there is a new term which is called as allele. Allele, it is one of two or more version of the same gene. Now, two is in the case of human. Like we know, haploid is one set, diploid is two set, and triploid and so on is 3 or more set, right? We are human, so we have 2 sets of chromosomes, so we will have 2 alleles. If it is a triploid organism, it will have 3 sets of alleles. So that's what is meant by the allele. So allele is one of the 2 or more versions of the same gene at the same place on the chromosome. So let's say I had given you an example of gene and like where is the gene located on the chromosome. So let's say chromosome 1 from the parent has a gene named, let's say, X, right? Similarly, chromosome 1 from female and chromosome 1 from male, they will have the same gene, that is gene X, located at a certain position. And the position that is called as loci, LOCI, remains same for both the alleles. I hope you are understanding what I am trying to say. Yeah. So that is what is allele. An individual inherits 2 alleles for each gene. That is 2 copies of each gene, one from each parent. That is one from mother and the other from father. I hope this concept is clear, because we will be using this word quite often. And then if this part is not clear, you may not follow the rest of the like description. So if you have any question or if you haven't understood this part, please do ask. So that is allele, which is the copies of gene on same chromosome, right? One from father and one from mother, that they are called as allele. What is now homozygous alleles and heterozygous alleles? Homozygous allele means the 2 copies of the same allele for a gene. Now, this means like we have 2 different versions of the gene. Like I had said, like let's say my mother has curly hair and my father has straight hair. But whatever is coming to me is both of these, that is curly hair as well as straight hair. So these are the 2 copies of allele that I am receiving from my parents, one from father, one from mother. Now, out of these, let's say both of my parents, in another example, let's say both of my parents, they have straight hair, right? In that case, what I will be receiving is one copy of straight hair from my father and another copy of straight hair from my mother. And both of these, they are for straight hair. That is what is called as homozygous. Homo means same, and zygous refers to the copy of the gene or copy of the allele in that particular organism. So when an organism has 2 copies of the same allele for a particular gene. Now in the example that I had given, the gene was referring to the gene which codes for the like the structure of the hair, whether curly or straight, right? So that was the allele for the gene, and it is homozygous if it is the same exact copies of the gene from both the parents. So that is homozygous allele. And heterozygous allele means the organism has 2 different alleles or 2 different copies of the gene. Like for example, in the first case I had said, one copy of the curly hair from my mother and one copy of the straight hair from my father. These are 2 different copies of the same gene. The expression of gene is different, but gene is same, and the phenotype, that is what it expresses in terms of curly or straight, that is different. Though it is the same gene, the characteristic still remains the structure of the hair, that is heterozygous. I will give you another example for homozygous and heterozygous. Let's say for example, uh, my father has a blue eye and my mother also has a blue eye, and both of these blue eye copies, they are coming to me. Then I am called as homozygous for the eye color. That is, in from both the cases, from both the parents, I have received homozygous genes or homozygous alleles for a particular gene which codes for the eye color. That is homozygous. Let's say my father has, in another situation, to explain the heterozygous allele, my father has blue eyes and mother has brown eyes, and whatever is the color of my eyes, that is a different part altogether, but I am receiving one copy of the blue colored eye gene and from father, and I am receiving brown colored eye copy of the gene from my mother, and then whatever I have is this one blue and one brown copy. That means I have two different copies of the same gene. That is what is heterozygous. I hope you have understood this part. Do you have any question in these three terms? Alleles, homozygous, and heterozygous.
Sir, in the definition of an allele, it says that an allele is one of two or more. Why is it more than two?
So, like I said, in case of triploid or diploid, triploid, or quadruploid, and so on, the number of alleles are different, right? And that is why it says only one copy is called as allele. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other question? People, I'm telling you, if you do not follow this, you will not follow any of the description further. So please make it clear. You ask yourself what is allele, homozygous, and heterozygous. If you don't have an answer, please do ask it here. Otherwise, you will be lost throughout the rest of the chapter.
Sir,
Yes.
I still didn't understand the meaning of allele, like exactly.
Meaning of allele.
Allele.
So let me, now I will use the board because this may not be, okay. Tanisha, I'm not going to read the message, so it's best that you speak. If you have a problem, I'll take this question later. So I'm again spotlighting the video. Now, where is it? So let's say again, this is male, this is female, right? I have 23 pairs. 23 comes from this side, 23 comes from this side, that is male and female, right? So we receive 23 chromosomes from this side and 23 from this side. Again, I am not segregating 22 plus X and 22 plus Y and so on. Let's, for simplicity, assume. Let's say we take chromosome number 1. Chromosome number 1 will come from this side, as well as one copy or the other copy of chromosome 1 will come from this side. And that is what we get as this, right? Now I may not be so good in drawing here, but let's say this is the copy that you have received as chromosome 1. Half of this is coming from male, half of this is coming from other side. Now, this was just the representation. Now, let's say on particular chromosome 1, which is this long, we have a gene of this length which codes for the eye color. Now, again, we will have same chromosome from father and same chromosome from mother, right? Two copies of these will be there. Chromosome 1, one copy from male, one copy from father. Let's say I will draw here, this is male copy and this is female copy, which will be same exact copy and having the same exact genes located on it. I hope I have drawn same. That is, one is male copy, one is female copy. That is from the parents. Okay. Now these two, let's say these two, they define one particular gene which is for the eye color. Now let's say male, that is the father of particular individual, codes for blue eyes. and this codes for brown eyes. Individually, they are called as alleles, right? Individually, this is one allele. So, whosoever child will get this 23, that child will have, or that offspring will have blue allele, that is this gene, and brown allele, that is the second gene. Yeah, individual copies of the gene, that is called as allele. Now, let's say again from the mother, this particular offspring had received blue copy. That is, in both the cases, male as well as female, the copy of this particular gene or the allele was same. That is what is homozygous. And if it was brown, or either of it is brown or any other color or gray or whatever, right? Brown, then these are called as heterozygous. So these same copies when received from mother and the father, that is homozygous, otherwise it is heterozygous. An individual copy of a particular gene. Remember, it's a copy of the gene and not of the whole chromosome. Whole chromosome is never called as allele. It's just a set of chromosomes, or it's called a pair of chromosomes. Individually, there are, like I had said, thousands of such genes on a particular chromosome. Yeah, and individually, each gene which is representing certain action or certain physical characteristic, that is allele. Is this part clear now? At least,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Sir,
Yes.
whatever the part of the gene coding for the eye color, will it be there only in the cells, the eye cells, or will it be there in every cell of the body?
Now you answer that question. Because, okay, how many number of chromosomes are present in your liver cells?
46.
How many number of chromosomes are present in your, let's say, a cell from your leg?
46.
So what does this imply? Did you get what I am trying to hint at, or no? So all the genetic information is present in all the cells in your body, again except gametes, because they have only 23 pair. They do have the same information, but just in a single set. So even if it is a color for your eye, that particular gene will also be present in your leg cell or in your liver cell or in your heart cell or any other type of cell. Each and every cell of your body is same, but it is differentiated. Differentiated means it is specialized over the process of development into a specialized functioning cell,
Yes.
right? So all the copies, it just this particular process is also called as cell morphogenesis or cell differentiation. What it means is, like during the developmental stages, like let's say from zygote to a certain stage, all these cells, they are exactly same copies of each other. Like let's say up to, I guess, blastula stage or so, all these copies, they are exactly same. From there, the cells start differentiating. Differentiating means the inner cells, they will start developing into, let's say, the inner organ part. The outer part of that particular neural plate will start forming the outer parts like skin and the hair and all of these parts. So that way the cells start changing their fate over the time during the development, and that is what leads to the difference in the expression of the cell. Otherwise, internally or genetically, all these cells, they are exact copies of each
Okay.
other. Okay, any other question? Anyone else? So I hope everyone is aware of allele, homozygous and heterozygous. Also, one of the example that is given here and which we are going to see are also in the further slides. That is, for example, pea plant can have white flower, right? And it can either be homozygous, that means whosoever these parents are of this white flower, it can have white, one copy of white, other copy of white as well. At the same time, it can also be homozygous, not at the same time, but at a different situation or in a different condition when it has received one copy of purple flower and one copy of white flower. The expression might be different. Now, expression, what I mean is, though I have, let's say again, I'll go back to this brown and blue eye color. Let's say I have received one copy of blue allele and one copy of brown allele for my eye color from individual like mother and father. But I might have blue color, not because it is father's, but because it is dominant. Yeah, but I will still have the other copy as it is, which is not getting expressed. Do not assume this is like a color mixing. You add red and yellow and then it becomes orange. That does not happen in case of genes. So even in this case, purple and white mixing of the flower in terms of genetic makeup, that will not make it light purple color. It will be still either of the color. It can be either purple or it can be either white, depending on which allele is dominant, which we'll see next one. So a test cross. Now you all know crossing over, right? Or the test cross, that is mixing of the two genotypes. So it is like a method to check the genotype of an organism. Let's say you have a male of a particular genotype and female of a particular genotype of the same species, and you are asking them to breed or mate. That is called as test cross. Yeah. In case of plant, it is more related to pollination and then fertilization. But in case of insect, I'm sure you can imagine what mating is. That is what exactly is called as test cross, and it is specially done to check the genotype. That means what is the genetic makeup of the offspring from that particular pair. Yeah, I hope the test cross is clear as well. Test cross is nothing but the crossing of the two individual. Crossing is mating or hybridizing or breeding. All these terms, they are alternatively used, but in more common sense, like for especially the plant section, test cross is used because plants, they don't mate as such, right? Insects or other animals, they do mate. Plants, they don't mate. They are more said to be like breeding experiment or test cross or crossed over and so on. So that is what is a test cross. Now, dominant refers to the relationship between two versions of a gene. Now, we had seen we always have two alleles. In a diploid individual, we always have two alleles or two copies of a particular gene, and the individual of these alleles, they are can be different, that is heterozygous, or they can be same, that is homozygous. Now, let's say if it is homozygous, that means either this, let's say, white flower or blue eye color, then in that case, the offspring is surely going to have the same like their parents, right? But if it is heterozygous, for example, a purple white in case of flower, or in the example that we had taken, that is blue eyes and brown eyes, whichever is expressed, that means offspring will have a particular color, either of the flower in this case, or of the eye color. Whichever is shown in the offspring, that is called as dominant gene. And the other which is not expressed, that is called as recessive gene, right? I hope this part is clear. So again, I will take the example from the board. So let's say I have two alleles, blue allele received from my father or brown allele received from my mother for the eye color, and I have a blue eye color. That means blue allele which I had received from my father is the dominant gene, and brown is also present in my body, but it is masked or it is not expressed, and that is called as recessive gene. Similarly, in case of this heterozygous couple pair, a one copy of the purple flower was received from one parent, and white copy of the allele of flower color from the other parent. And let's say the offspring flower from the next generation had a white color. Then in that case, white was the dominant allele and the purple was the recessive allele. So one whichever get expressed out of a heterozygous pair of allele is called as dominant, and one which is not expressed, or the allele which is not expressed, is called as recessive. This part, is it clear, or anyone has any doubt?
Sir, how does one gene become dominant and the other recessive?
So it's a natural selection process. Yeah, so it is already fixed that which genes are dominant and which are not. We will see that particular, I guess, somewhere uh, in one of the slide. It's there somewhere, it's there. We'll see. In general, there are a few examples of what is dominant, like it's over the time they have been getting expressed, and that's how they are dominant. There is no actually thumb rule to say, okay, a particular gene or particular allele is dominant or particular allele is recessive. It just depends on the situation, as well as what are the copies of the alleles that are being received by the offspring. So there are several such factors, but as of now, you just like, we will get into that, how a gene has become a dominant and how the other copy of this similar allele has become a recessive. That part we will see in brief, but as of now, this is the most important part that you need to understand, that what is called as dominant and what is called as recessive. Anyone else, any other question? I hope others are following. Let me ask people now question, if they are not asking me question. Taru, Taru, are you there? Okay, I don't think she is there. Yes, Deeta, you have a question? She has.
So if it was a dominant gene, like
Sorry, can you please repeat?
how would you know?
Actually, your voice is breaking. Why don't you type it in a chat box now? In the meanwhile, I'll take Tanisha's question. Is it possible for offspring to have different features even if the parents have the same feature? Yes, that is very much possible, Tanisha. So Tanisha is asking, let's say, like in the case we had spoken about, one parent is giving blue color of the eye and the other parent is giving the brown color of the eye, but the offspring has some other color altogether. It is quite possible, because it's ultimately the crossing over and the expression of the gene in terms of what is being crossed over. Yeah, again, this is a little complicated aspect. You might wonder, how does it happen if we have only a copy of a blue and brown color? How does the eye color changes to something else, that is, let's say, gray, for example, right? It does happen. As of now, we just understand this process. If we go into details of this, it will be super complicated to understand whole of the process, so I will not prefer to go in that. as of now, at least in the class, we can talk it outside the class. Yeah, surely we can do that if at all you are more interested about knowing this particular fact. How do you know? So, which is dominant gene? Like, can you predict it? Yes, we can predict it. Like, I guess Akshay had asked the same question, like, how do we know that which gene is dominant and which gene is not? So, in simplest language, if I have to say it, like we always receive two alleles, and whatever you see in the offspring, that is the dominant one. And but if you have to predict it, you have to do the genotype and phenotype analysis of these two alleles that you the offspring is going to receive, and that way we can predict it. So that is very much possible. We already know which genes or which alleles are dominant and which are recessive, so that there is a kind of database, we can say, and from that we can predict it. uh, but again,
Sir,
yeah.
and like most of the times, for like specific parts, like with there like specific gene, like from father or mother, like in most of the cases would be specific which one would be a dominant one.
Hmm? No, what is the question there?
So, like, are there, like, could you, one second.
Actually, your voice is echoing a lot. I don't know if it is only for me or for everyone else.
So I'll type it then.
Okay. Will the gene change even if there are homozygous alleles? No, in that case, it cannot change. At least for that particular specific character, it will not change. So again, if I have to take the example of let's say this blue eye color, both, if both the parents are giving blue color of the eye in terms of allele, then a child has no other option than having the blue color of the eye, because that is what is called as pure breed. It has been said that uh, one of the earlier individuals, like Indo-Aryan race, that is present in Germany or northern parts of India, like especially in Kashmir. They have those typical white skin, or blue color of the eye, or blonde hair. That was the Indo-Aryan race from the earlier times. And they, like, if they are getting married amongst themselves, then they maintain the race. That is, they maintain the purity of the breed or purity of those characteristics. But the moment it gets mixed up, then that's where the another like characteristic comes up. So again, there are this is just on a very superficial level we are talking. There is something called as black bodies and stuff in terms of genetic makeup. But we will talk about it, like I said, outside the class. Otherwise, it just become too much to understand in terms of the concept.
Sir, but in the textbook, if you see the example of a tongue roller, I mean, a father and a mother, who both of them say that they are rollers. Then, out of the three kinds of children that may be born, one is boy, one is girl, and both of them are rollers, and one other has to be a non-roller.
Oh, you are talking of that 3 and 1, right?
Yes, I mean, from page number 27 in the textbook, sir.
So we'll come to that part. We'll come to that part. So that is what I said. It's not so easy like we say it. This was just explained in terms of what is dominant and what is recessive. There are other possibilities when the uh, mixing of the heterozygous alleles comes into picture. So let's say, and that is what is the perfect example. That is the tongue roller carrier and not the pure breed of the tongue roller. That's what is the example there. We will come to that because it will get too much to understand everything at a time. That's why I'm going a step by step. We have that particular part explained in this Mendel's experiment here. All these things that you see, these are something similar, and that we will see later. This is what you are talking about, 3:1, and so this we will see in a particular like scripted way. Yeah. Yes. Where has she typed her question? Yeah. Uh, could there be like specific dominant genes for a specific part in every case? Yes, there are very much like dominant genes. So irrespective of like certain cases, these dominant genes will always get expressed. Uh, like dad would always be dominant or something. No, this is not true. Like dad is like from the father side, it is not always the case that whatever traits that offspring has received is not always from the father. It can be from the mother, and that's when I gave you an example of let's say maybe I will give you another example in terms of again the straight hair and curly hair. Let's say my mother has curly hair and my father has straight hair, but I have curly hair. That means the gene that is dominant, or the allele which is dominant in me, is curly hair, and that I have received from my mother. That means the uh, curly hair was the dominant phenotype there, right? Or dominant allele, which is not coming from the father, but it is coming from the mother side. So it depends on which gene is getting expressed. Usually it is the dominant one, and it need not be always from father. It can be from the mother side. Yeah. Because sometimes it does happen that we associate with to some extent of patriarchy there, uh, like, and that is what this confusion might occur. But it is not true that we receive all the dominant genes from the father only. There are examples of receiving them from the mother, and this depends on like what alleles that they have received from their parents, that is from our grandparents, what traits the parents have received. So there is quite a lot to it. Okay. Is this good enough description for these terms? And can we move forward if there is no other questions? Neeraj, any
Yes, sir.
question? Any
No,
question?
sir.
Okay. Shantanu?
No, sir. No.
Okay, fine. Um, Taru, are you back or you are still missing from the desk? Okay, I guess she is not attentive. Fine. Moving forward in terms of, so like, to set the basis, we have learned quite a few concepts. Now, there was this gentleman called Gregor Mendel from 1822 to 1884, which was like quite early in terms of how the genetics was studied. He was Austrian, and so, and he is actually called as the father of genetics. And I'm not going into his personal life and stuff. That is, you can read it somewhere on Wikipedia or so. So after the initial experiments with these pea plants, Mendel settled on studying 7 traits that seem to be inherited independently. Now, traits, these are physical characteristics. So he studied 7 different physical characteristics, and that he felt that they are inherited. That means they are passing on from generation to generation independently of their traits. So irrespective of whatever trait was present from mother and father generation, these were being carried out forward in a certain fashion, and that is why he studied those like further, and these were the seven traits, that is seed shape, flower color, seed coat. I hope you know all these terms in common colloquial language. Seed coat tint is the kind of like how does the cover appear of the seed. We will see this in picture also. Pod shape, unripe pod color, that like when the pod is unripe, how does the color look like, flower location, and the plant height. Where is that? Here it is. So these were the seven traits that he had studied. Seed shape, it can be either round or wrinkled. Seed color can be yellow or green, and these were very specific. Yeah, there were no other variations in the pea plant, and that is why he studied this particular species and this particular plant. Pod shape, this can be either inflated or constricted. Constricted as in like just around the seed inside this pod, this was kind of little rounded, and then it was like a speed breaker, bumpy. Yeah, that is constricted. Pod color can be either green or yellow. Flower color, purple or white. The flower location can be axial or terminal. Terminal is at the end of the branch. Axial means it's actually where the leaf starts. That's from there itself the flower will start. And at each of these axial points, there will be one flower and not only at the end of the branch. So that is the flower location, axial or terminal, and the height of the plant, that is tall or dwarf or short. So these were the seven characteristics that he had studied. Now, this study showed that when true breeding, different varieties were crossed. True breeding refers to the both the phenotypes or genotypes, they are homozygous. Now, again, what does it mean? So that means only a flower producing white flower crossed with white flower, right? Not the crossing of the flower, but the plant which produces white flower is crossed with another plant which produces white flower. That is what is true breeding. And like I said, in case of that Indo-Aryan, marrying with the same individual of the same race who has blue color, blonde hair, white skin, that is what is true breeding. Yeah, so true breeding, different varieties were crossed to each other, different varieties as in of those different traits. So one was done for seed shape. So in case of seed shape, only the round seed was round seed plant with was crossed with the round seed plant, or the wrinkled seed plant was crossed with the wrinkled seed plant. So that's what is true breeding of different varieties, that means of these different characteristics. Example, tall plant fertilized by short plants. Now fertilized in the sense, the production of that particular tall plant might be of the okay, this is getting complicated, let me go back here. uh, or okay, we skip this part as of now. We will come when we study the actual crossing of this plant. So I'm just keeping this part here because it may not be really clear. When we just go over the description, we will see those diagrams, how does it look like. So there was one concept which was called as pangenesis. So Charles Darwin tried like unsuccessfully, I mean, that means he did not succeed to explain the inheritance through the theory of pangenesis. Pangenesis actually refers to the hypothetical mechanism of the heredity, in which the proposed he proposed that each part of the body continually omitted its own type of small organic particle, and that he called as gumeles. That means what Darwin assumed was that all genes are present in all the organism. That means irrespective of the parents, a particular individual will have or particular individual plant will have white flower as well as purple flower. And if the offsprings are experiencing or expressing white flower, that means the purple flower gene was deleted in that particular species, and that is what is known as pangenesis. And these deleted or omitted or emitted molecules, he named them as gametes, and that aggregated in the gonads and so on. But again, we need not go into the details. But this fellow also tried to explain hereditary like Mendel did, but then he didn't succeed. And also Mendel's experiment, they were not accepted by them. They got accepted much later, I guess after his death or so. People did not recognize his work at all. They were calling him crazy, saying, why is he even studying these plants, and what is he going to gain out of this, and so on. So there was quite a lot of this nonsense like discussion happening at that particular age, and he was not recognized at all. But later stages, he got that recognition, that and that is why he is now called as father of genetics, because he had already set up certain rules for studying the genetics. And yeah, one fact that I forgot to mention is the biological name for this pea plant is Pisum sativum. These kind of questions, they are being asked in the MCQ type things. So that is Pisum sativum. Yeah, exactly. Okay, but I haven't written here which is the dominant one. Okay. So I will skip this slide also, because that question will come here to me, which is dominant out of these traits. So I guess we will actually stop here. I will just tell you what this slide is about. So these were the different phenotypes. I actually forgot to highlight which one is dominant, because this was one of the questions that you had asked. Some of you had asked. So in case of color of eyes, which is the dominant color, in case of hair shape, which is the dominant color, and so on. For each individual trait, we already know that a particular trait or particular expressed characteristic is the dominant one, and the other one is recessive one. So we will see that part, but in the next class. As of now, we will stop here, because anyway the time is also getting over, and in the next class we will directly start with the Mendel's experiment, so that we revise all this concept all together, and we also understand what exactly he has done. Okay, so let me stop here.